Clicker games. In essence, they're really stupid, right? You simply click on an object over and over again, but there is something so satisfying and rewarding about clicking a fucking cookie, and the sense of progression you get makes these games always so fun to play. And since the concept is so simple, I thought, why not make your own clicker game using probably the world's easiest game engine, Scratch. I first heard about Scratch when I was back in school. When we were introduced into programming back in 6th grade, I think, we actually used Scratch to learn coding and make our own little game. Since then, I never touched Scratch again because I thought it was just a program for little kids to teach them coding. But turns out there is a whole community surrounding Scratch where people make really awesome and beautiful looking games. And even though it was only intended for 2D games, there are actually some crackheads who somehow made 3D games with it. If you don't know Scratch, you basically make your own game using these code blocks. They are really similar to real programming. You have your if statements, your loops, and even variables. By arranging these blocks, you make the logic of the game. But there is also a sprite editor and a sound editor directly implemented into the program, which is really handy. And it's just so intuitive. When I started making my clicker game, I had this demo running in no time. I know, it looks bad. We'll fix this later, trust me, but the basic functionality is already working. No complex coding needed. There is simply a node that is called every time you click an object, basically all you need for a clicker game. And I don't know how I came up with the idea for this game, but you simply click this tree, it drops apples which you can collect. Yeah, not the best idea, but anyways. The one thing I struggle most when creating games is definitely art. For this game I tried something completely different, creating vector art, and that directly in Scratch, which wasn't great, but I eventually came up with this. I know, not good, but for my standards, definitely acceptable. The two boxes in the top corners is just Scratch's default way to display variables, which is really ugly, so I tried to make a nice way to show those to the player, and oh boy. For the points, meaning how much apples you have currently collected, I wanted to make a simple counter. Just a simple text displaying the amount. But there is no such thing as a text box in Scratch where you can change the value during runtime. So you have to make separate sprites for each number and then switch to the next one whenever you collect an apple. And when you go above 9, then do some complex math to put the right digits together. Thank goodness there are tutorials for this, but this is definitely a huge feature Scratch is currently missing. For the clicks till spawn, meaning how often you need to click the tree before an apple spawns, I decided on a health bar, which I straight up stole from another project because it's no problem to look at the implementation of other released projects on the Scratch website. Our game is almost finished, although it's a bit boring. One huge element of clicker games is a sense of progression, which makes them so fun. Buying things that do the job for you just feels so satisfying. So I might do X, Shane the Shaker and Coldy Collector. I think it's self-explanatory what they do. You can buy them with enough apples as well as an upgrade option for your click strength. Oh, and I also added the sound effect. It was already in Scratch, so I might as well use it, although it gets really annoying after some time. And that's pretty much our game. One thing everyone thought at least once when playing a clicker game: what if I use an auto clicker? So let's try it out. Alright, set it to 1 millisecond and... And surprisingly, the game didn't crash. That's because Scratch has a limit on how much clones can exist. And it's stuff like this that makes this game engine so easy to use. You don't have to care about anything. No errors, no weird bugs, no complex code. You can make a simple demo in a really short amount of time. I made this game in 1 day, by the way. However, this also comes with a few downsides. I would like to develop this game further, but not in Scratch. Not using code and relying on those code blocks makes building complex systems really hard. The lack of fundamental game engine features like different scenes, cameras, a physics system makes it really hard and time consuming to build a proper game. It also gets messy really quickly. Even with my simple game, I have troubles navigating through these code blocks. And the simple fact that you can't actually build your game makes it simply impossible to ever create and publish a real game. With that said, if you still want to try out Scratch, I put a link in the description. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and if you want to see me make another game, you can click the video on the screen right now.